Hi, welcome back to Renee's Music. Hope everyone's doing well.
Hey!
Hey, how are you?
Fabulous, how are you?
Oh, I'm so excited.
About today?
About tomorrow.
What's tomorrow?
So, for those who are watching, tomorrow, December 3rd, you're singing
Oh,
with the symphony. Came up quick.
I'm ready.
You're so ready. Oh my gosh, you look so fabulous.
So ready.
Oh. Yeah, it's crazy. It came fast.
I feel like I just got the call in August with David Glover, who's like the most incredible conductor and human being, and he just gave me a ring out of the blue. Was like, "Do you want to do our Christmas pops show together?" And I was like, "Holiday season, whatever." And I was like, first, yes. Thank you so much.
Great.
Second, I still want to do my music with the entire symphony, which is kind of how I said it. And he did
Multiple times.
And that's what he did. He just laughed. I know, Renee. He's like, this is one step closer. And I was like,
right.
it
It
is.
is one step closer.
I said, but if you wait too long, I'll be so famous, I won't come do it. He's like, he starts laughing. He's like, you're probably right. So yeah, and then, you know, because I'm always trying to think of something, I'm like, could you listen to my Christmas album and see? I was kind of hoping he would pick a Holy Night, but
That's true.
you know, it's so much fun. But no, but he did pick one of my songs that I've been blasting all over social media for the last couple weeks anyway.
Yeah.
And scored it for the 70-piece orchestra, which is cool because like John McLucas's production with the big bombastic that I love so much, the dramatic drums. I think I told you this before. He sent me a scratch. He's like, what do you think? And I was like, I love it. I was like, but can we get more drama from the percussion? And I had to Google it. I was like, what do timpanis sound like?
Oh, they're amazing. They're so amazing.
I'm like, it's the timpani, right? And that's the boom, boom. I was like, it's timpani, right? And I'm like, wow, I'm so out of touch with like the orchestra side of my music experiences.
Yeah.
But you act like you played the timpani.
I played the timpani. That was my instrument in high school. I love the timpani.
That was your instrument?
Yeah, that was my instrument.
So
I feel very passionately about the fact that you were excited about adding timpani to that.
You'll get to hear it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I said, can we like bring the timpani sound?
Fully. You always need a little more.
Can we get 2 sets of timpani?
Right. Oh my gosh. But it's incredible. Like this is an honor to be a part of this. Like, this is kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. You are kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal. So it's interesting because I want to say it was. No, let me get this right. Was it last Christmas? No, it was a show before Christmas, I think. And I went to watch it. It was still the 70-piece orchestra, but there was this really sweet lady that they rolled out a Steinway. Grand piano, big, the long footer. And she sat down and they were her songs. And this is where I got the idea. They were her songs, so she's playing them with the 70-piece orchestra. And at the time, she was the second half of the show. And so the first half of the show, I sat on the side that my friend John was playing on with the cello. My earpiece just stopped. We're gonna have to just do this. It just stopped. Was playing with John with the cello, and then when they had the intermission, and then they rolled out the Steinway. The Steinway was on the other side of the stage,
Right.
and so I went up to John because it was a little underattended because we were still kind of in that pandemic space.
Right.
So I went to John. I was like, "Do you think they care?" Because I mean, it was pretty sparse and this is all at the Academy, which is another story, but I'll tell in a second. But so he said, "Do you think they care if I like sat on the other side?" So because I wanted to watch her,
Right.
like I wanted to watch her play. It was literally this close, like I'm literally like there, like I'm sitting in their lap while they play. And so he's like, "I don't think I care," because it was like a row of empty seats. So I went over and they served popcorn. Can we talk about that for a second? I was like, and I ordered it because I was hungry. But I remember I was sitting there watching her play the piano in the orchestra. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. Yeah. pop. I'm like, she should be in a movie. But anyway, like I was just, so they could see me, the girl in the front row. I'm like this, watching her. But I decided as I watched her, I was like, oh, I want to do that. Because like her songs were, they were great. It was cool. It was so cool for her. She had all these people filming and like, I thought, you know, the way John and I wrote the last 2 albums, most especially the first album, there was a lot of orchestration. Like John Lucas knew that I loved orchestration, and I had John Breyer, the cellist, performing a lot of those songs. So I would send him over tracks that already had the cello in it, so he would build kind of off that. And of course, John's playing with his incredible skill set as an orchestral member with the cello, and I love the cello. It's so deep and so beautiful. So yeah, I decided I wanted to do that. And then I remember I went to the Christmas show and I was actually sitting up higher because I wanted a different view. Because the thing that I did love about being up front, I love that I could like watch the front row, but I couldn't see the people. Like I couldn't see the timpani guy. I knew there was a harp because I could see the top of the harp, but I couldn't see. So I sat the second for the holiday pop thing, I sat up high so I could watch the whole thing. And I remember I just sat there and I was like, I'm gonna do that.
Yes.
And then the call came. So again, it wasn't the call that I wanted, because I'm like, you know, this call's supposed to be you and I collaborating on all my music, right? I was super honored. Like, it's the biggest symphony show every year in town, and so yeah.
That's so amazing. Well, and two, speaking of David Glover, he actually, let's see, what did it say? He became a part of Lynchburg for the 2019-2020 is when he started.
Get out!
Yeah.
Is that recent?
So he was
pandemic conductor.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously he's also part of the Charlotte one as well.
And that's probably where he started.
Yeah.
He's so talented. Like, so when he asked me to sing, and then I said, can I send you my Christmas songs, my Christmas album? And you know, I've redone some Christmas stuff. I was actually thinking about, though I wanted to do O Holy Night, I was actually thinking about O Come Emmanuel and What Child Is This? Because both of those were very orchestral in their production. And so I sent it to him like on a Tuesday, and like literally the next day, Wednesday, he like emailed me. He goes, "Okay, I'm gonna score O Come Emmanuel, I love it." I was like, "Yes!" So like he sent me the first pass of it, and I was just like, like I got my breath. Like I've had to spend the last couple months getting used to the idea that there's gonna be like all these musicians behind me and around me, like creating this sound that I did in my little room in my house, and you know, getting comfortable with the idea, so I don't stand there and cry. So I'm like, I've been envisioning, you know, what that's gonna sound and be like as I listen to his arrangement, so that I'm not so overwhelmed when it comes to the actual.
Well, sure. Well, as a performer, what is that? What's that process leading up to it? Like there's 2-3 weeks prior to actually singing. What does that entail?
It's so funny. I was just telling my drummer this. I said, this is probably the hardest I've ever rehearsed for anything in the whole time. And what's funny is the song I did, I haven't had to rehearse much.
Right.
So it wasn't like, hey, just come do O Come Emmanuel. He's like, we want to give you 3-4 songs, you know. And one of the songs is a duet with Adelaide, who's the opera singer.
Yes.
And so I've, you know, you hear these Christmas songs on the radio, I'm like, yeah, I could do that Faith Hill song, yeah, I could do that Chloe Clarkson song, and then it gets right down to brass tacks, you're like, what? So I will say, they had me perform with the big band.
Okay.
And I was the artist with the big band. But the big band did a lot of stuff, just instrumentation. And then they had me kind of cameo, like, again, 4 or 5 songs. And so I had to learn songs for that, but it was a little different because it was stuff I'd heard a lot in restaurants. I'd say, you know, Jimmy's on the James played a lot of that stuff. So I heard it and knew it, I think a little better than I heard and knew the Kelly Clark. so unfortunately, like I went to Vegas, for my other life, and came back and promptly got COVID.
Yeah.
And that was in October when I would have started like really rehearsing, and so I kind of lost some time. And so thankfully though, I came out of most of it where I could rehearse, 2.5, 3 weeks prior to the show.
Okay.
But I did feel like I was behind the 8 ball because I'd been sick. And I'm like, so what it looks like is I started out singing with Kelly on her track. Okay, he sent me the instrumentation for Come Emmanuel, so he scored it and sent it to me, but he didn't score and send anything else. Well, that's not true. The duet got scored and sent as well.
Okay.
But then that's a whole other thing, because the duet, I don't have the melody line, and so all of a sudden I'm singing melody and then I'm harmony, and I'm like, ha! So having to, I was like, just memorize, and then, that was the thing. But, so he's just like, kind of like with the big band gig, I just learned the track of the original artist, and then I had to kind of, and the big band was a little easier, I think, because a lot of those artists, like Ella Fitzgerald, I can kind of fall, my voice falls into that space.
Right.
My voice does not fall into a Kelly Clarkson space. Kelly and I fought a lot. Because Kelly's got this very big, voluminous, powerful, I'm like Sarah McLachlan in comparison. And so having to try and sing this quick, poppy thing with my voice, which tends to be more lilty and, it's like someone Celtic trying to sing something that...
No, that's fair. It's a good comparison. Well, and Kelly, I think, also had some operatic training in her name.
Oh, quite possibly.
So,
and I'm zero training. So yeah, and I said this also to Fred last week. I was like, thank goodness I knew how to play piano, because I was able to sit down. I know how to read notes. They sent me sheet music, so I did have the sheet music. So I would spend time singing through the notes, to get the notes correct. Because again, it's not my song. So it was interesting, and I don't love karaoke, so it was interesting being put into a position where you have to learn how to do someone else's music and still make it yours, but you gotta stay in their space that they created, but it's not your space. So I feel like a fish out of water a little bit. So Faith Hill and I have closer timbres, and so it was actually fun to turn her song into something that was mine. Or Kelly and I wrestled that one out.
Well, and you were saying it was it's a morning and night time as far as practicing, because you have to give your voice enough time to rest in between.
I don't know how much of this has to do with the fact that I had COVID. Because I do. I can rehearse for an hour and then I'm exhausted, literally depleted. And so I literally go lay down on the couch, regroup, recharge the battery, and then and then I kind of come back to life and go do it again. So that I think was an interesting dynamic. Is having that particular illness, which affects your lung capacity, which is the thing you need to sing. So I remember one day specifically, it was Thanksgiving Day, and I was trying to sing through Kelly, and I was like, because it requires so much breath.
Yeah.
So I'm taking these big breaths, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pass out. It's been fun.
Yeah. No, we're so excited to see it.
I know, me too.
So good.
Me too.
Well, something interesting about orchestras that I did not realize were orchestras, symphonies, the whole thing. It's fundamentally a local business.
In each little community.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
that's a
that's
global thing. It's the Vienna Orchestra, the da-da-da orchestra, it's the da-da-da orchestra,
Right.
or the orchestra of da-da-da.
Yeah.
So it's a local, because this is a tiny town, so the fact that this small town has an orchestra is rather remarkable.
Oh, it's insane.
Now, many of the players are not local. They come in.
Yeah, I say a lot of them have to play probably multiples.
To build, it's either a hobby or to keep yourself, making enough money or running to different orchestral events, which I was saying to you earlier, it's kind of sad that, music, it's you have to piece together so many things because it doesn't actually pay that much. It's kind of the fact that we so undervalue
Right.
the arts is.
Yeah. Well, because it's gone through such an evolution over time where it was like such a huge piece. And it's something that's still around, but just realizing that it's gone through so many changes just based off of who's listening, who's actually going, because again, we've talked about it many times, going to live music kind of dropped off, and then now it's like starting to make its way back up.
Yeah, so like the orchestra trying to recover from a pandemic versus like a pop artist trying to recover from a pandemic.
Well,
The orchestra, and that's the thing, like music over decades has changed. So, there's an association with the orchestra and like opera, like it's almost become this like niche instead of this like community-wide, like the orchestra was this event that the whole community couldn't wait to go to, and now it's like, now they're trying to find ways to draw back parts of the community, which is why I'm invited as a pop, because you don't typically have a pop artist.
No, that's true. Yeah, so that's kind of
even though I saw it, I was like, I want that.
Like, is this what you're going to be doing? Well, so they ended up collaborating a lot. So they ended up to go out and kind of have to bring in other artists in order to kind of like keep it relevant and alive.
Like we saw Charles Billingsley that morning, and he's somebody, he's a prominent voice in the church community, and then he moved into jazz, and then jazz and the orchestra partnered up, and he did a whole show of his jazz covers and original jazz, and like just to continue to kind of create this crossover. And I don't think that the crossover is just the symphony. Like I feel like we can kind of look at all the genres as they try to cross over to continue to brand and build a base.
Right. Well, what I found interesting is that two of the most famous collaborations with symphonies, Metallica and Aerosmith.
Really?
Yeah. This could have easily been our fun fact for today.
You could have done, because my nuts, I was like, I'm trying to picture that.
Yeah. So the most famous example of rock and classic coming together was Metallica's S&M album with the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra.
So they did an album with the orchestra.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So, and it sold 8 million copies worldwide as of 2013.
I wonder if there's anything out there about what that did for, like, if there was like suddenly an orchestral community that was interested in.
Right. Well, exactly. Yeah.
That hadn't dipped into that area, or a rock community that suddenly was like, hey, orchestras are awesome.
Well, because San Francisco is one of the biggest ones too. So like, there's like the top 5 biggest symphonies.
Isn't there one in New York? It's the.
So.
He's like, you actually did look that up, didn't you? It's
so
like
the 5 biggest
Philharmonic.
like the big 5 is New York Philharmonic, the Boston Symphony Orchestra, Chicago Symphony, Philadelphia Orchestra, and then San Francisco.
See, the New York Philharmonic, I was like, oh, I did.
Yeah.
But, okay, so like, in terms of collaboration, you know that I low-key secretly love EDM.
Yes.
And there's an EDM artist that BT, who did the same kind of thing. He actually did a full album and did it with orchestra. Like, kind of full, so he would tour. This is like a guy who could be labeled a DJ, at different points in his career. That was a
Right.
But, where you would see him, like, up on a stage, like, look at Wicked, and
I like that.
and all of a sudden, he's like, because he's so talented, he sings, he's playing guitar, all that. Suddenly, and I never got to see it, like, he toured at one point with a full symphony. And I never, if I'm remembering correctly, he did that. At least that's what it appeared to be. And I thought, that is so genius.
Yeah.
Like, because all those instruments in the orchestra can have playing parts in so much music that's out there, and put this really amazing spin on the same song, which is probably what Metallica saw.
Well, exactly. So Aerosmith did it with the Boston Pumps.
Who scored that though? That's what I love. Somebody has to score that. I'm like, who took Metallica, broke down all those instruments, and then scored it for the next pieces? Because see. So, like, backstory, one of the things David asked me was, since it had been produced and arranged by John McLucas and myself, he says, does John have all the stems? Because now with technology as it is, and we sent him, John's like, here's all the stems, and he was able with ease to kind of assign right? Like here's
right.
here's the kick drum. Okay, that's the timpani. Like he could change out, you know, and then when you score it that way, you can actually print out the sheet music out of these DAWs, like
Right.
Logic, or probably he's in Pro Tools, or
Oh yeah, probably.
which is still too high for me. I'm still working in Logic.
That's okay.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. Yeah, I thought that was a really amazing way for them to kind of be able to bring these collaborations together to kind of keep that alive and kind of help these different. Knowing now that it's actually a local thing for each symphony, being able to kind of help in these different communities to keep these.
And if
going.
like other symphonies catch these ideas and try to do these things
Yeah.
in the community, because you know Lynchburg, they could have pulled in. It'd be hard for Lynchburg to pull in a major player, but
Right.
like someone in town that's known for,
Yeah.
you know, you could bring that person in and you know enhances. Like they're bringing in. It's not just me. It's Adelaide as an opera singer, and then they teamed up with Liberty University to get a choral.
Oh,
So it's actually going to be quite a production.
Yeah.
The fact that it wasn't sold out like weeks ahead is shocking to me.
yeah. No, it's insane.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Well, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see this tomorrow. So.
Me too.
So go see it if there's still any tickets left.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Sold out now.
Oh, sold out now. Well, we'll definitely be talking
I
about
might
it.
have extras. Let me know.
That's right. Are you ready?
Yeah. Fun fact time. Fun fact time.
So I decided to keep it in the genre of music that we're talking about.
Even though Metallica could have been the
So,
fun fact.
Right, I could have been, but I feel like I've done fun facts about Metallica.
I feel like you could go back and find them. I think it is
Right.
true. Yeah.
So the number of people on Spotify who streamed classical music increased by 42% between 2017 and 2019.
Okay, but why?
I feel like these collaborations are having
I
a
helped
focus.
it out.
Yeah.
When did Metallica do that? Do we know?
2013.
Oh.
So.
And the other one, who's it? Was Metallica?
And Aerosmith was 2006. It was a fireworks spectacular.
Oh, see, that's the. Yes.
It's gonna be so perfect. So I was like, oh.
Now I'm thinking of the Sydney. You know, the Sydney Orchestra, you know, like, when they do like the New Year's and like you have the orchestra and the fireworks
So
and the,
amazing.
oh, yes,
Yeah.
magic. I think the orchestra is incredible. If you haven't ever taken the time to go watch your local orchestra perform, do it.
So
It's
amazing.
literally, I mean, the whatever little money they're charging now to go watch, so
Right.
many people who put this time and energy into these incredible, beautiful arrangements.
So talented.
Go do
Yeah,
it. I'm
go
so
see
glad I got back into it. And funny enough, during the pandemic, as soon as I'm like, we can go see an orchestra. Let's go.
Let's do it. Oh, well,
Thank you for doing that.
Yes.
Yes. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Let me
Thanks
know how it goes.